Hey there everyone, I think I haven't done this in a while, today I wanted to touch this topic on, go around and about the such thing that most of us, or probably like lots of us, have encountered in the past or probably encountered even now, and this is the negative experience during IT job interviews, because I've had lots and lots of those throughout my professional career. And I'm gonna touch rejection reasons, probably most absurd rejection reasons, most, let's say, bottleneck situations, and also I think I'm gonna talk about how big companies want to devaluate you, make you cheap, so to speak. So I haven't really prepared for this video, just like I always do, like semi-spontaneously or spontaneously to its fullest. But I think what the first thing that comes to my mind is this interview which I had with a pretty big Ukrainian agency, outsourcing or staffing agency, or they do both. I don't know. I don't really know what is the difference between those. I never cared about that much because, to my understanding, all these agencies, they just serve as middleman between the client and the employee. I'm like having this tech interview, like it was several years ago. So I'm having this tech interview with this guy. So I've passed the HR stage. Then I have this tech interview, and the first thing that made me feel a little bit, insecure or uncomfortable was when these guys started to do a little like situation modeling, which is like a common thing during or like for the tech interviews. And it was not like the way that he did it. It was like the whole like situations that he was thinking like straight out of his head, like at the moment, because those situations were not in any shape or form reasonably real or even close to real. I mean, like, imagine you have like 2 PMs on your project. I never did. I always thought, and I still do think, that a respectful company or a company that values like their own processes and knows how to build them and is like a successful business, right? I think that this type of business should have those processes set up and like on the rails and just running smoothly. And this is like the thing with these interviews or with these people. Maybe this is like due to the... Oops, my battery just died, had to change that. So yeah, as always with my tech, something goes wrong whenever I'm about to speak from the bottom of my heart. But let's continue with this one. So I think that particularly in this case, in this very case, the thing, or like the whole core of the situation, is that this is a big company. The bigger the company is, the more standardized like the inner policies are. So what I mean by that, these guys, those especially like technical stage, because the technical stage is the most important one throughout the whole process. 95% of my professional experience speaks and stands by that point. So they have like this inner policy that as the company, we want to earn as much as possible, because they communicate with the client. They set like specific sum of money that they get from the client, right? So let's say the client needs to hire the senior or the lead, lead tech or like lead developer or an architect, for example. And so they negotiate. They have this like 10 grand a month. So $10,000 a month is like the budget for this specific position, like imaginary. Hypothetically, when the HR is working with the candidates on the market, so of course that that budget is being cut like in half or something like that, or like to like at least 30% are being cut, because they go to the to the pocket of the middleman of the agency, of course. And you as an employee, you get 70 to 60 to 50% of the initial budget. So you gotta always keep that in mind, and you gotta be like more, shouldn't I say aggressive, but in the sense of bringing your own value, understanding your own value. Okay, so this is what you got to do basically. Whenever somebody's giving you a budget, you got to set like the maximum amount of that available budget, but because you have to understand that they earn even more, and you will be doing all the dirty work. You will be doing all the dirty work while they have just shaken hands. And they're smoking pot somewhere on the Miami beach or like wherever, or somewhere in Bali, or I don't know, like Maldives or whatever. But it's not the case. So you gotta keep that in mind. And all of this stuff translates to the interview policies. Those guys who already feel themselves comfortable in their own seats, because they work in those companies for lots of years, many years, and they don't understand, or they tend to forget that once upon a time they were just like you are now. So, and they're gonna do everything that, that's in their power to exercise their power. And this is where it gets wrong, So, to some extent, it feels like you were a victim at one point, but then you made it. And now you are being put into the position of power. And this is where the actual test is coming in for you. So, you got two options. Either you repeat the cycle and it never ends. So you're trying, and you're gonna like exercise this power upon the other candidates, forgetting that you were just like those guys once upon a time. Or you're trying to help the person. You understand that everybody's nervous. I'm still nervous at every interview, especially technical one. Because I got cold sweat, especially when it's live coding. Because I'm not a coder like at 100%. Just as I'm not like a pure programmer, because I'm like just an automation QA. So I think I'm not in the right position to to talk about those things that the devs have going on between them. So they're like more deeply technical, like they have the deep technical understanding of things. I understand that. What I'm trying to say here is that these people in the tech interviews, they either repeat the cycle or they don't. They have a chance not to, at least. But this particular case was when the person actually repeated the cycle, and it got even worse. So I was applying for the position of senior automation QA at the time. I got interviewed by this guy who was like thinking imaginary situations, completely like sci-fi-ish type of stuff, which would never happen on a real project. Just as I mentioned, like you got 2 PM, like you're like a participant of 2 simultaneous releases. Either it's like a complete chaos in their business, or they actually don't know who they want, or it's like they're trying really to exercise their power and on you and try and prove to you that you don't matter. Because that's what he did. Because the feedback that I got from that guy at the time was something like blah blah blah, knows this, doesn't know that, needs to improve this and that. And like the overall which completely infuriated me was like the last line, which said something like overall level junior/middle. Okay, I'm done. At that point I understood. I just wanted to hit this who in the face. I really wanted. And sometimes I think that it's a good thing that our job has a remote option, because I wouldn't be so polite and I wouldn't be so polished in real life. I mean, it's like face to face. Well, I'm trying to be chill guy, but sometimes people's stupidity and their own like projections and traumatic projections, they just piss me off. It's your damn problem, so deal with it. Yeah, so like this was one situation. There were actually lots of situations. Like from the most recent ones, I guess it was the thing when during that technical interview once again, we had like the live coding session, which was something like you gotta code a playwright spec without even having like a template repository set up or something like that. Also, you're creating an agency. So, and the woman out there who interviewed me, she said the test that you gotta use Playwright automation framework, because like the person that they were hiring needed to work with this automation framework and these tools, and you gotta code like you gotta go to their agency website and code a specific like looping scenario, which would assert some things on the page. We didn't have like much time on it during the interview to do that, so it requires at least like I don't know, like probably like half an hour to do that. Because you are doing research at the same time. This is new and you're worrying. You got this cold sweat once again. I'm telling you, this is not like this is not a drill. But the biggest mistake that they've made, they have been laughing at me because I've mentioned during the interview that I've been utilizing, or that I utilize AI tools. Windsurf, Cascade. Currently it's Playwright MCP, GPT of course, Claude of course, and Copilot and a bunch of other stuff. So whenever I've mentioned that, I was laughed at. Just why? Oh, you're doing that? This is vibe coding. This is BS. You still have to memorize everything, learn that by heart and whatsoever. There was a complete turnoff, should I say? Yeah. So once again, if you take that personally, you're gonna suffer from it. So my only advice here, if you'd ask me, I'm not giving it, to you forcefully, but throughout these experiences and what I've learned, I think the main point here is no matter what happens, you do not, and at least try to not take it personally. I know it's difficult, and I'm that kind of person who takes things personally, most of the times. I still do. I cannot do anything with it because otherwise I would not feel alive. This is what makes you feel alive, taking your damn life personally. So yeah, this is where it goes. But I didn't find any shame or guilt in that because I had none. And there were none from my side at least. So yeah, moved on. And now let me drop a few absurd rejection reasons which I've had throughout the years. Probably one of the most absurd, I think it's called ghosting, right, or something like that. Ghosting, when you apply, you apply for a job, you have an HR interview, you got the technical interview, and then they just do not reply, right? So I think this is ghosting. So yeah, I've been ghosted lots of times in the past, and this is not a good practice. I don't know why people are still doing that. Maybe because they haven't learned how to say no, in their childhood. I don't know. I really know. But yeah, this is something that requires an answer, because every process requires an answer, because this makes an employee wait. This makes an employee nervous. Try to put yourself in the person's shoes. Try to see yourself as you once were, a candidate, just a candidate. Just because you have a job now doesn't mean it's gonna be forever. It doesn't mean it's gonna be like that forever. No, I don't know, once people get what they wanted, they feel automatically secured, and this for some reason they are all so very damn sure that nothing's gonna happen to them at this point. But let me tell you, I had this another rejection reason, which is kind of absurd to me, because in this case, which I'm speaking of right now, I have passed the HR interview and I've passed the technical interview. So all I've had is a client cultural fit interview at the time. I had to talk to a client for about 30 minutes or so, and that would be it, because they have already accepted me. And the agency was also in contact with the client, so they knew that they have a person. And yeah, so the representative of the agency was in contact with me for about 3 weeks or so, and he was constantly pinning me in one of the messengers regarding this position. And the thing there was that something was a little bit delayed. So the agency has agreed to start it with the client and with me, of course, and then something started to delay. So he posted every 2 or 3 days, he pinged me regarding the situation. At the end of it, I thought that it was all fine, because I have already passed. I'm pretty confident that we're gonna start soon. It's just some minor delays within the company. I mean, on the client side, things happen. That was a new project, and yeah, so new project, new person. Things take time to set up the architecture, to set up the foundation, and so on. Around 3 weeks time, I received this once again this message from the representative of the agency, where he says that unfortunately I'm a bad news bringer today, Alex. Sorry, but the client decided to move on with another candidate who's more proficient in this in the domain. Well, okay, we're gonna talk about the domains, but most of the domains where you have the web apps, to my opinion, they're more or less the same. It's not about yeah, of course, we got the UI part, but it's all about mostly about the the APIs and DBs and all those interconnections of the services. So if you understand the services, or if you had experiences with different architectures, for example, REST API, GQL, and from the DB side, SQL, PostgreSQL, or NoSQL bases like Firebase or MongoDB, if you had that experiences in the past, it's gonna be easier for you to grasp. So a good example here would be a chocolate candy. So it may come in different, wraps or wraparounds, but it's still chocolate. And same goes, it is same with IT. It doesn't matter how it looks. Well, to some people it does, but from the engineer's perspective, it matters how it works behind the scenes, behind the UI. If you strip away the UI, how the data is flowing. Is it flowing correctly? Is it being sanitized in the proper way? Is it being stored in the proper way? Is it being exchanged and flows in the proper way? So yeah, this is at least that's what I think of it now. And I just don't understand that. You keep a person waiting for a few weeks, and it's not here. For example, in Ukraine, it's not like in the States where you have, some safety pillow or whatsoever, right? It's not like that here because, like drones are falling off the sky. So what I'm trying to say is like, it's not in any way correct. And oh, I'm sorry I kept you waiting. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And that's absurd because, this is a situation where I cannot give some advice based off of that, because everything was really smooth. And the guys, the people from the agency are, great peeps. I've had lots of fun talking to them. I had lots of fun having the tech interview. There were like 5 or 6 people interviewing me, simultaneously. So I had like whole team join. And yeah, we had a really cool time, I thought I would be a good fit, but it just fell off at the very last minute. And on top of that, I got like, it was like a delay. It was delayed for a couple of weeks. So yeah, this is not a good thing. And yeah, let me drop you another reason, another rejection reason, which I'm trying to remember. Probably my top rejection reason is the most absurd one. So this was like several years ago. I've just joined the tech interview. I was pretty, tired at the time, that evening, because I had my own project to work with. Then, the interview was just like an hour when I finished my shift, or like when I've just logged off. It's pretty interesting how it happened, because it's like blows my mind. I still can't figure out why. And if anybody has encountered something like that, please let me know in the comment section out there. So the thing is that, yeah, I joined the tech interview. There is the HR already in the room, and we wait for a couple of minutes, and then this tech guy joins. HR asks me some, general question, like, for example, like, Alex, could you please introduce yourself to our technical specialist? I just begin talking like I always do. Maybe I was more stagnant back then, but I don't know. Can't really remember that stuff. And I start to, talk about myself, like describing myself. Who am I? What I do? What experience do I have? Why am I looking for a job? All this yada yada yada. And like 3 or 4 minutes into the interview or something like that, the tech guy just logs off. I haven't even heard his voice. So no hi, no bye, no why, no because, no whatever. Just nothing. And HR is in complete shock as well. And she just says like, what the hell happened? I don't know, like, I'm sorry. This has never happened before. So she logs off. I log off, of course, and she promised me to, to give me some feedback. And she just gives feedback that, no, like, we're, like, something like, you're not the one that we're looking for, but, not she in particular, but, that tech guy. So I think something about me just pissed him off. I don't know. And to this day, this question, remains unanswered. So, like, guys, all I wanted to say in this video, like, my main point here, is that you can have, and maybe some of you will, I don't want you to, but, such is life. You're gonna have the most absurd shit happen to you sometimes. And it's gonna try and trigger you in the worst of the ways. And it's gonna try to put shame and guilt on you. It's gonna, this matrix is gonna force you into, self-doubt and self-digging. And this is not what you should do. This is not what you should do. Don't take things personal. And this is coming from a guy who always does. Probably like it took me like lots of years to figure this out. Of course, none of us is perfect. Nobody. You cannot know every single thing. You cannot know and memorize every single line of code, every single book or theoretical concept or whatever. So you should not take that personally. Just keep doing your thing. That's gonna work out, at some point. Just trust me, it will. Continue doing your thing. Never in a million years I thought that I would be recording something like that, but or saying something like that. But keep going, and you got this. And I believe in you, because weirdest stuff happens. Weirdest stuff happens, really. I want to end this video with a question, or with a I want to call you to an action. I want to ask you that if you have ever had absurd situations in your hiring process, whether it was during the tech interview or during the post interview when you were waiting for the feedback, I encourage you to drop your stories in the comments right now, because I really want to read that. I really want to dig into that, because I've had plenty of those, and those situations that I've just shared, those are just a few, because I did not prepare for this video. I just put up the camera, mic, and here we go, shooting. I'm really excited about the situations that you've had, about the absurd situations that you've had. And whether, probably how it has changed you, or, how are you viewing these processes right now. Don't lie that it hasn't changed you, because it has. These things, they change us. Up until the point when we stop caring about whatever happens. So that's it. So yeah, thanks for watching and see you again someday. Bye bye.